Hey everyone, my name is Rafi Hambling or DalekDude, and as promised, here is a tutorial on After Effects. I'm using After Effects CS6 here. So I'm just going to give you a quick look at what the workspace looks like. I'm using the workspace standard. They're all slightly confusing, like paint, animation. I use standard for the majority of times. So, hang on, I'm just going to resize all this. Okay, so, we're going to start up here. Here we have, obviously, all the tabs. There's quite a lot of things. You don't really need to worry about those much. Here we have all the different options. So we have the selection, the hand, the zoom, rotation, the unified camera, don't know exactly what that does. Pan behind, anchor point, the rectangle, the pen, horizontal, brush, clone, eraser, roto brush, haven't used that, but I kind of know what it is. And the puppet pin, and then local axis, world axis, and view axis. These are all very useful for different things. I mainly use the selection, hand, zoom, rotation, rectangle, pen, and text. It's not that many. Okay, down here we have our project tab. Over here you can change the tabs over here. You can move them around. We're not going to. If you want, you can move your project tab over there. Best to keep it over here though. Okay, so we have our projects tab over here, where everything that you want to put in, you put in under here. You have all these useful bits of information: the name, type, size, frame rate. Frame rate's very important. I've made this mistake numerous times of accidentally dragging in a video with two different videos to put in here with two completely different frame rates, and it's completely destroyed the thing. It takes hours to render, etc. Yada yada, etc. Yada. Yeah. Okay, so up here, however, the other selection on here is effects controls. We're not going to do that just now. I might do that later on. Okay, so here we have our composition selector. Down here you will have, when you create a new composition, I'll show you how to do that later. When you create a new composition, if you go into the composition view, you view it all, everything that views on the timeline, which is down here, you view them here. So that brings me down to here. This is the timeline, all the information you drag here. You have the dragging thing here, this is the zoom. You drag that when there's a video there. Here is render queue, we'll get to that later. Over here's info, that's more about colours. When you're doing it, it gives you the colours, the position. I don't really use that much, it just looks nice. For if I want a certain colour, I can select the RGB factor. And the preview is very useful because I can play, I can go frame by frame, I can go to the end, repeat, you know, etc. Over here, however, is all the effects and presets. I use colour correction a lot. You just click on the arrow, like blur and sharpen. Here, I'll show you how to use those later. Here is the for characters for when you have text. Sorry if about the mouse going off the screen. I have another one plugged in. So here you have all the options for the text. If you want to add in more, if you want to change all the information about the text. Down here is important if you want to limit your audio. Or so a lot of the time I limit my audio to -6 or -10 depending on what I'm doing. My music video I think I've limited at -6, but my documentary I limited at -10. I'm going to, I haven't started it yet. But yeah, okay, so don't forget you can also resize everything. I would recommend not, because it's just useful not having to do that. So to import something, you can either right click, import and file, or you can just double click in the area over here. Now I'm just going to drag in a sample video. You just double click and it'll drag it in. I'm just going to delete it for a second to show you that when you select it, it has an option to import as footage. Sometimes you have other options, but okay, so we have, when we select it here, we have the raw footage, millions of colors. It shows exactly how long it is, what for the frame rate is here. You can view all that information here as well, but I've got it up here, including the frame size, which is very useful. Now you can either drag it down there and it'll create a composition out of it, or you do it like this. If you've got multiple compositions, this little film looking thing. I can't zoom in. Hang on. Yeah, 1 second. So sorry about the size change. Okay, so over here we have this little create a new composition thing. If I get my item, which is up here, and I drag it down, let me show you. If I drag it down into this composition thing, it will very kindly for me make a composition out of the exact same settings, so the same frame rate, the same frame size, etc, etc. Now we can see where the timeline and this comes into it. Timeline, you can click the red thing and just drag along. It may not look quality, but as soon as you release it will go into quality. There doesn't seem to be, hang on. You can click spacebar to watch it play. I don't think there's audio on this, so I'm not going to show you about the audio. But over here, it shows, if I just click play, it shows the frame rate that it's currently playing at and whether or not it's real time. Now, if you have a look at the mouse, you will see that while I'm playing it, it's changing colour, showing that it's rendering. And then if we go to the beginning, we now play it in real time because this section where it is green has rendered and it says real time there. Now as soon as we get to the end of the green part over here, it suddenly changes to not being real time and goes slower because it's not yet rendered. Okay, so back to the composition thing here. You can resize the video, you can squash it, you can rotate it by hitting W on your keyboard or selecting the rotation tool. If you want to return it to its normal thing, you just hold shift when you're changing size. 1 second, what's happened? You hold shift while you're changing size and you'll have it'll keep it effectively its aspect ratio the same. There we go. So I'm just going to show you how to add on one effect. We're going to do a blur and sharpen effect. I'm just going to add on the camera lens blur. You go onto your effects, you click on blur and sharpen, you select the camera lens blur, you drag it over, you'll get something like this. If we did a radial blur or whatever, it's all the same thing. I'm just going to use camera lens blur. And as you can see, firstly it gets a bit blurry, and secondly it automatically takes you over to the effects controls over here. Now here we can change all the settings, so I'm going to octagon or whatever, blur radius. I'm just going to really blur out, really hurt your eyes, and I'm changing the size of the blur, so I'm changing it to a decagon. This over here, when it changes, look, is it rendering the change. It's going to take the blur down to that much. The grain, you mess around with these settings and it will automatically save. If you don't want to delete the settings but you want to turn them off, I shall show you this little effects thing. Don't know if you can see one. This little effects thing over here, you unselect it, turns on and off the blur. So this is just the corner of it on, and now it's off, on, off. So yeah, I'm just going to delete that now and show you how to basically render this thing. I'm just going to actually drag it back on, increase the blur bit, there we go. Let's say I want to have a blurred out video for a news clip in the background. Don't want it to be too clear. It's too blurred for news clip actually. You can select this, you can have this. I'm going to unblur it even more. Just slightly, I'm going to change it to 7. There we go. So to render it, you select composition and you get all these things. You select add to render queue. It'll take you to this. It'll automatically switch you down here to render queue. Have all the settings over here. You can select, you can change all the settings by clicking on them. You can change the output mode, and this is very useful, whether or not you want AVI, H1264, etc, etc. I'm just going to leave it as AVI. Color management, yeah. And output 2, I'm just going to do videos, tutorial 1, save. Now to start the rendering, you just click render and you wait. it comes up with over here the estimated amount of time left. I'm not going to finish rendering this. I don't actually want to render it. This is just an example. Sorry, this is just an example. But this shows you how to render it. You can stop it, you can pause it, or you can just stop it. I've stopped it. I've got rid of it. Okay, so that was tutorial number 1 on After Effects. I'm going to find a video with audio, and maybe I'm going to show you a bit of colour correction, and maybe how to add on, I have no idea what I'm doing, glue gun, or how to add on a beam, which is what I've had to do for my music video. So what's full colour grade? Oh. Anyway, so this is yeah. I shall see you next time. This is Matthew Hamling or Dalek Dude, signing off.